Good morning. It's a whimsical Wednesday morning here in Mr. Jeffrey's geometry class. Don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell. At last count, we are still hovering at 16 subscribers. You know, I'm kind of a big deal. So, and we're moving on after our first test. All right. So, we're dealing with a little bit more of angles, okay? And we have our kind of angle. These are angle pair types. Adjacent. Okay, there's, you know, oh, that's a little bit too much. We're going to put some, like our definitions under here. We're going to put beside each other. This is how bad it was. I didn't even know the quote unquote math definition that's on your paper. I had to Google that. I'm like, that didn't even make sense to me. Did anybody see that and you're like, what the crap is that talking about? Okay, everybody, awesome. Y'all just can't see all the hands raised. It's so great. All right. So look, they're beside each other. We've dealt with angles beside each other past week or so. All right, vertical. Okay. To me, these are across the street from each other. Okay. And our vertical angles here, you know, it says that angle 1, angle 2, and we're actually going to label this a little bit. We're going to put an arc on angle 1 and angle 2 because that means that these are actually congruent. Okay, vertical angles are congruent. That means that angle 3 and angle 4 are also congruent. Now, the reason that we're using the double arc right there is to separate the thing. There's a couple of ways people have done it before. I'm going to show you. We used to do it like this with 1 hash and 2 hashes. You could do it either way. I do not care. I don't know how I'm going to do it. As soon as I make that decision, I'll let you know. All right. So, whoa, I did not mean to do that. All right, complementary. These are not nice angles. These literally they add to 90 degrees. Okay, every time I've taught geometry and we've done complementary angles, they're like, oh, they're so nice to each other. They're like, hi, angle, your hair looks so great today. And I'm like, no, that's not actually what it means. So, you know, that's kind of what it is. And we have our, you know, our examples. We have one that splits this 90 degree, and then we have these two that are separate. Okay. We will mainly spend time with probably these type of complementary angles as we go on. All right. So, and all right. So our next one's supplementary. Okay. Some people would say these are the vitamin angles because it's a supplement. I'll just put add to, was that a joke? Add to 180? It can be. But and the linear pair, they add to 180 and beside. Okay, we actually you've been seeing linear pairs since we started doing angles, only because those problems are easier to find than anything else. But kind of these definitions of these angles, they're going to stick with us a while. Okay, that's like when you have a lot of garlic bread, then all of a sudden you got like garlic breath for a couple of days. So but that's kind of how these go. Giving y'all some time to write this down. If I had the webcam working, this is when I'd have my little free dance style thing going on, but the webcam does not engage with this program, so that y'all are kind of safe from that. Okay. Nobody wants to see me dance, right? No. Okay, good. Okay. So just when you didn't think I couldn't get any weirder. All right. So, yeah, lots of vocab. If you can, if what is on your paper and what I write does not make sense to you, make your own definition. Okay? Because that's what I need. I need it to make sense to you. All right? I know some people are like, that's different. All right? Yes, we know I'm a little different. I think my methods kind of work. But we're good for that. All right. So, let's move on from here. All right. Classify each pair of angles. All right. I'm going to start with this one. So, AFB. So, this angle and BFC. And this angle. Okay? We know these are what? Are they beside each other? Okay, so these are adjacent. Okay, they can be a couple other things. They can be like adjacent, supplementary, adjacent, complementary. But we're just going to say adjacent because we don't even know. Okay, because we don't know this angle measure right here. All right. BFC, so still doing this angle here, and AFE. AFE. All right. Do they really? They don't seem to share anything. They're not a linear pair. They're kind of not adjacent. They don't really fit any of our definitions, do they? No. But let's look at it. They're not. So let's try this. Let's see if they add up to something. Okay, so 62 plus 28. Okay, yeah, they're 90. So these are complementary. Okay, and I'll show y'all the shorthand for a lot of this stuff later. Okay. So notice how, look, we had to go through the list. It wasn't this, it wasn't this. So then we had to see if they added up to something. Okay. Sometimes you got to like go through a process. Usually this is when I ask for my computer people if they like that right computer programs. It's a if then box, if this then this. But all right. Don't worry about it. AFE, so that's this one. And DFE. All right, so these are on the same line, like they're beside each other. And let's see if 62 and 118 add up to 180. 62 plus 118. They do. Okay, so this is actually a linear pair. All right, it's a linear pair. AFE, DFC. Okay. Now, granted, this FB ray is kind of in the way, but just look at these two angles. What do they kind of look like from our vocabulary earlier? Vertical, yeah. All right. Now, I know some of y'all are like, wow, that's a lot to pull out. As we, at the beginning, we're not going to have such a big graphic. Okay? Because if I was a student, I would get confused in this graphic. How many of y'all have got kind of confused with the diagram? Okay, at least one or two other people. Yeah, if you don't draw through it and take your time, you get lost in the sauce. Okay? And then EFD and AFC. So these two angles, these are also what? These are vertical. All right, so now, bad graphic, but we're going to, move on from there. All right, I've got to kind of stop this one, kind of wrap it up just a little bit. So stay tuned for part 2 coming soon.